surely you too know what you're doing and you come across confident and experienced and done this so many times before that you can help them. You're building up that same kind of prestige. But the placebo effect is not to be underestimated. The placebo effect, and anyone who disagrees with it, you're entitled to disagree with everything I do all weekend, by all means. It makes no fucking odds to me. But you seriously need to think about the placebo effect. The prime example is, what was it? Anodine. It was Anodine, the painkiller. They used to have, you know, headache in the morning. Oh, I need a painkiller. Oh, I'll have to go to the shop and buy some. You get some, and within a couple of minutes people go on, oh, I'm feeling better already. If you read the fucking instruction leaflet that's inside, it actually says will take between 30 minutes to an hour before it actually gets into your bloodstream enough to cause any effect. So why is it that people suddenly go 2 minutes like, feeling better? It's the process, the ritual, the psychological expectancy, the belief that goes with it, the conditioned response. But Anodine, they fucked up slightly because one of their old adverts was, one of their old slogans was, nothing, when you've got pain or something, when you've got pain or headaches, nothing works better than Anodine. That's quite correct. Nothing does work better than Anodine. And that is actually a true advertising slogan. But, you know, for once a drug company was telling the truth. There is a serious message in there. Hopefully this is kind of starting to make sense to you. I just have a very weird way about going about things. Step 3, deepening the trance. You can do that by kicking them in the head. Not to be advised, of course, without insurance, but there's many ways of doing it. We'll cover them over the weekend, because these are things, the separate steps, I will go through in front of everyone, and you all have a chance to come up here and feel it and make a dick of yourself, do whatever you want, within reason. But deepen the trance by whatever means. Step 4, ego strengthening. This, as well as the placebo effect, is a good 90% of all therapy as far as I'm concerned. Making the person feel good about themselves. Don't matter what the problem is, if you can praise their ego, not in a way, you know what I mean, not in a gay way, if you've got a bloke, but you know, so but in a way that doesn't sound obvious, you understand. You know, you're not going to sit there and go, yeah, fucking wonderful you are. You know, but if you can build in these suggestions that make them feel good, and perhaps anchor them, as we'll cover a bit later, to those times they felt good previously in their life, so they feel good when they leave your office, then that is like an instant sign and signal to them, because they go away feeling better than when they arrived. And if they go away feeling better than when they arrived, they will come to the logical conclusion that you must have done something good to help them. And as long as they come to the conclusion you must have done something good to make them feel that way, given that they came to you for whatever problem, if it's in their head that they feel better and you've done something good, then how much greater do you think your chances are of it working for them than if they go away thinking, will this work? Won't it? Maybe. If they go away thinking, I feel better, I can actually here and now feel that I feel better in some way, they're far more likely to continue that process. Because that's all we do, set processes off in people. Step 5, necessary actual therapy. That is largely dictated by the questions you've asked them before. But today, later on, I will get some volunteers up and do what I call complete mind therapy, which is a one-session treatment for just about any problem. It's also, quite frankly, the lazy man's way of never having to remember a script, because it's the idiot's guide to doing a therapy session. That's why I formulated it. But it also does work remarkably well, and we'll demonstrate that there. 6, major post-hypnotic suggestion. Actually stereotypical. In a few moments' time, I'm going to count from 1 to 10. On the count of 10, you'll instantly be wide awake, feeling invigorated, refreshed, wonderful, fine. Every nerve, fibre, tissue and muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, feeling wonderful on top of that bullshit waffle, up the numbers, till. And on 9, in a few moments' time, when I ask you to, you'll open your eyes. And when I do, when you leave this office today, you'll feel 100 times better than you did before you entered this building. And you will find that you've got an overwhelming desire to listen to the CD that I give you every day for the next 28 days. And you put this in as a post-hypnotic. It's also your get-out clause, because you then give them a backup CD to listen to for the next 28 days, which you've told them in trance, if you believe in that crap, they're going to listen to for the next 28 days. You then tell them consciously as you give it them before they leave the office, remember to listen to that every day for the next 28 days. Or if you want to be a complete bastard, you can say, don't forget to listen to it. And the chances are they will forget to listen to it. Because the mind doesn't compute the word don't, it just focuses on the word forget. The chances are they won't listen to it, so if they ever ring you up and complain that it didn't work, you can say, well, when did you last listen to the CD? They say, oh yeah, I forgot about the CD. Well, I told you to listen to it every 28 days, every day for the next 28 days, for this to guarantee to be worked. So you've always got a get-out clause. That's how you can offer a money-back guarantee. They can't get your fucking money back off you. But also, it does conditioning. Pavlov's dog. It's basic psychology. Is there anyone in the room, and don't be shy about this, because the cameras are pointing this way, not at you yet, but is there anyone in the room who doesn't actually know the story of Pavlov's dog? Thank fuck for that. Thank you for being honest. No, just two. Right, very short version. Dog in cage, psychology lab. They bring out the bowl of food, they ring a bell. Dog starts to salivate. Pedigree chum. Or whatever dog food they had in that day, I don't know. It might have been pal or something, I don't know. But out comes the food. The dog salivates. The next day they do the same thing. Food in. Tinkle of the bell. And this goes on twice a day for like a couple of weeks. And then they found, by chance, I mean, how do you find this kind of shit out by chance? No, you think about it, you look at some of the theories they found. What did they set off doing? Did they think that they were going to, like, make him fucking allergic to the dog food with the bell or scared of it? No, they must have had some idea in mind, an intent. They had an intent in mind when they set out. And quite often, what you intend to have happen will become a self-fulfilling prophecy in life. And also in therapy. Serious message there. So after a while, the dog, allegedly it's the bell that sets him off. So we'll say it's a blindfolded dog. He can't see the person walking in the room, okay? But the bell gets rung and there's no food there. But he still salivates. Because he thinks bell equals food, equals... Or if it's that dry fucking dog food you have to add water to, he's probably thinking, not again. But you know, whatever. But it gets the same reaction as if the food was there. It becomes a conditioned response, a reflex response, a Pavlov's dog response. There's many fucking arty-farty technical names for it. In other words, the dog has become brainwashed. I mean, on a serious note, it's about that time. I don't want to offend anyone's religious beliefs, but if you could just please bear with me on this one, and if we could just all just take a moment to pray. Thank you, what a wonderful conditioned response. I'm taking the fucking piss, by the way. But you see, we all have conditioned responses through life. And that is how we get motivated or negatively programmed, through conditioned responses. Some are good, some are bad. But understanding that, which is blatantly obvious when you think about it, but understanding the obvious is the key to solving the difficult. Number 7, awaken them from trance. Well, that's implying they were ever in one, of course, but... And then, well, there's one missing off. Tell them to fuck off at that point, because you've got the money. But it's in 7 steps. Now, so a lot of people say, is stage hypnosis different? Well, it is with what you do, but you walk on stage and you tell a few jokes. So you're gaining rapport with the audience, and that's your introductory talk, you know. Nobody in this room will do anything they don't want to do, you know. You'll just want to do everything, and in a few moments' time I'm looking people with good powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration to stand up and walk this way towards... You're conditioning them. You're making them feel at ease. You do a suggestibility test. Not the one we did earlier. one of the ones that's guaranteed to work, which we'll do later. You get the volunteers up, you do an induction. The only difference is you've got more people. But you're still doing the same thing. You deepen the trance. It looks good. Ego strengthening. Well, on stage, instead of you know, in therapies, you will be able to achieve this on stage. It's like, you know, just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, then you will find that you could be the star of this evening's show. Deciphered, if you do what I say, I'll make you look good. If you don't, I'll make you look fucking thick because you've not got intelligence, imagination and concentration. And that is actually what it boils down to. When we get into more, that it does. Necessary actual therapy. Well, on stage, instead of that, it's when you wake up in a few months' time, you'll think your testicles are talking to each other. It's great, isn't it? You don't even need to do the routine, it gets the laugh. Why do I bother fucking hypnotising people? I'm just going to tell them what I do. But it all conjured up a mental image there. The worrying part is some of you are now talking to your ghoulies. It was a joke. So instead of the therapy, you do your routines. Major post-hypnotic suggestion. In therapy, that's that they'll feel better when they leave and they'll listen to the CD. On stage, that's when he'll waken you on the count of 10 or whatever number you so desire. That you'll find that you feel better than you did before you step foot on this stage. That everything I've said is completely cancelled out. Just so they can't try and sue you. And you'll feel better than you did before. You'll tell people. Or if you're a sick bastard like me, you might say to the men that for the next fortnight they'll not be able to get a hard on. And to the women, you tell them that every time they have sex, it's my fucking face they'll see. But given that post-hypnotics don't actually last that long, the irony of it is it does wear off because it's all bullshit at the end of the day. And number 7, you awaken them from trance. Ironically, oh dear, it's exactly the same, under a different name. So what I said before about not alienating the clients by trying to tell them it's something different, use it to your advantage, you actually won't be lying because it is the same. It's just that your audience is just one person when it's one-to-one therapy. If you're doing a group session, it's more like a performance, but otherwise it's a show for one person, making them feel like they're the, you know, the centre of the universe at that time, making them feel good about themselves. So, yeah, that's stage hypnosis therapy, how it comes together. Cool, we just covered that bit. Right, the 4 keys to success. To everything we're going to be doing after the brew break, this afternoon, tomorrow, when we start getting people up and throwing you around, and some very other interesting things involving lots of spinal needles and surgical equipment over there. I kid you not. The 4 steps to success. Getting a so-called hypnotic trance state, and we'll cover what that is later because I will put you all into a trance state. Although ironically, let us pray. We already fucking are. Step A, belief and expectancy. You need, well, step A, all of these, any one of them missing, you could still get success. But as long as you've got at least 2 of them in place, the chances are greater of success. If you can have all 4 of them in place, the chances of failure are very minimal. Success is the likely option because you've stacked the odds in your favour. So step 1, belief and expectancy. Step 2, disorientation and confusion. Step 3, suggestion and repetition. Step 4, relaxation and sleep. What does this mean? Well, step A, belief and expectancy. We covered this before, really. If the client believes that you can help them, have the capabilities to do that, and that what you're doing is ritualistic enough or strange enough that they come to believe that this will work for them, and they come to expect it to work, then it will. It's a massive fucking placebo. So belief and expectancy must be there. But not just in your client, in yourself. If you were to sit there in front of your client, and you're saying whatever you're saying, and actually inside you're thinking, this isn't going to work, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Like it or lump it, somewhere along the line, you're going to give out negative body language, your voice tone's going to change, And you may as well just hold up a sign saying, it's not going to fucking work. And that will diminish your success. If you sit there adamant, egotistical, and I make no apologies for being a big Eddie twat, and think, this will work, it cannot fail, because if it doesn't get the result that the person claims they want, and look at the wording here, positive self-talk, then it's their fault. Because just so long as they concentrate on what I say, just so long as they do what I tell them to, then they will get this result. Again, that's basic psychology. If I tell you don't buy any more cigarettes, and don't ever put one to your mouth or light it, if you did that, you'd never smoke again. It's not fucking rocket science. Because that's essentially what hypnosis is. People paying us to tell them to do something. And as long as they do it, then they've got the result that they paid for. If the result doesn't happen, then yes, possibly, it might be because we read some crappy script that didn't fit in with that person's life experiences and environment in the way that asking the personalised questions would do. Or it could just be that actually they didn't want fucking helping. For some people, the secondary gain, or the major gain, of therapy is, and no offence to our American friends, but in fucking America, people are famous for having a therapist and going every week. You know? We're getting a bit like that in England now. But it's a status symbol in some places. I've been to see the therapist. How many fucking problems have you got? You're fucking addicted to your therapist, that's the problem you've got. A therapist. It's an idea for somebody there. So your addiction to therapy, come to me for my therapy. Yeah. The irony of it is it'd fucking work. It would. But on a serious note, believe it or not, there are severe learning messages in all this, if you take the irony away. If you get these steps into place, if the people believe and what have you, that's step one. Step two, disorientation and confusion. Do whatever it takes to make that person feel a bit fucked up in the head. Now that's my technical term, you won't find it in many textbooks, you understand. What do I mean by this? Well, they've probably got the, if you're in England, this Kenny Craig image of, look into my eyes, run around the eyes, into the eyes, you're under. Or, you know, American Hollywood movie. Look at me, deeper, deeper, deeper. Preconceived idea. So, rather than working backwards on that, let's play with it. The idea, that is. Okay? Some twisted people in this audience. Play with that idea and use it to our advantage. So, therefore, we need them to feel like they get a mind fuck. The mind goes, ooh, he's got power over me, that felt weird. And if we can make them feel like, genuinely, physiologically, for real, forget suggestion, fucking for real, within them, that rather than just suggesting, you might find that you start to feel lightheaded. How much better would it be if we could say in a few moments' time, you may notice that you start to feel somewhat dizzy. But we're saying it at a time where we know for a fact, guaranteed fact, they will end up feeling dizzy. How powerful do you think it's going to be when they then feel dizzy? They will think it's happened because you suggested it. So they will come to believe that what you say to them then becomes reality, and they will come to expect everything else that you say to them will then occur. So when you get onto the therapy, they'll be in a state of mind where they believe that what you're doing is going to work for them, and they will expect it to work. So it's the strongest placebo effect you could ever want. So how do we give them a mind fuck that's for real? Quite simple. That we will cover after the brew break, because we've only got about 25 minutes before the brew break, so I want to get through the, if you like, this is the boring bit before we get into the techniques, but this is probably the most important. Suggestion and repetition. Why? Because if you're advertising yourself as a hypnotist, they expect that you're going to start giving them hypnotic commands or suggestions. It's not fucking necessary, but that's what they expect, and that's what they're preconceived to believe it's all about. So we have to act the part of what they expect a hypnotist to be for the best success. Finally, relaxation and sleep. That depends on what approach you use. Yeah, if you bore them to fucking death, you will get them going. Real sleep. When I do CMT, complete mind therapy, my mission is to get them snoring as quickly as possible so I can fuck off outside for a cigarette. And kind of like leave them for an hour, then go back in and wake them up, tell them they've had a wonderful time, thank you very much indeed. As long as when they come round at the end of the session, they think something weird's taken place, and they get the time distortion, more of that we'll cover later. But as long as they come to the belief that these weird things have taken place, then it feels like something magical's happened to them. And that's what people are really looking for, a fucking magic wand. And yet so many of us, perhaps in the past, fallen into the trap of going, no, it's not a magic wand. It only works for certain people. No, reframe it, as they call it in NLP. Or I like to call it bullshit. Just so long as you want to achieve X, Y, Z, just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration, just so long as you do what I suggest to you and you are serious about this, then this will work for you. Don't leave any doubt. But you still covered yourself, because then if it doesn't work, it's all their fucking fault. But that's the frame set you want to set, because at the end of the day, we don't do rock all except guide people to a point where they're ready for us to kick them off the cliff. If they didn't want to fall off that cliff, they wouldn't go near the edge. And it sadly is as simple as that. So, yeah, they're the points we'll cover later. We covered that, good. 3 steps to gaining a trance. And this is very basic, but it contradicts some of the books you've read in the past, because then you'll understand where I'm coming from for the rest of this weekend. Step 1, belief, and they must know you're a hypnotist. All this crap about instant inductions, walking up to people, and you see it in the films, out of it like that, fucking bizarre. You know all that kind of thing? Well, unless the environment is completely right, that is exactly what it is. Film crap. There are ways of conning people very rapidly into doing certain things, which we will do over the weekend, because it's useful to know, both in therapy and on stage. But in the realms of literally just walking up to somebody and like, I don't know, but just going up to somebody and saying, nice to meet you, sir, take a nice deep breath in, just look at your hand, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in, close your eyes down, keep your eyes tightly closed at all times. Just as long as you do, let your arm get heavy and tight, drift it down, eyes remain tightly closed. When I click the fingers, you'll be wide awake. Wake you up in your eyes. Doing something like that can't really be done, because it's not possible. Although it looks like I just did, but as the weekend goes on, you'll all be able to do that, because bollocks, you know. 2. You stereotypically have to get them to close their eyes and breathe deeply, because that's what they're seeing in the black and white films. 3, give them some kind of suggestions of going to sleep. First time I ever hypnotised anyone that I was aware of, or did purposefully, shall we say, because we all in some way hypnotise people in normal conversation every day by eliciting emotions in each other and having arguments or whatever. The first time I purposefully did was when I was at school. I was doing, put your hands together. I read this fucking boring medical book and it said, you must repeat the word sleep, relaxation. And for the whole lunch hour, well, not the full lunch hour, we'd have something to eat first, you understand, but after that, there was, literally for the majority of the break, I was suddenly going, your hands will get tighter and tighter. I'm thinking, I better hurry up because bell's going to go like, we'll be late for registry. And why they didn't end up actually turning around and lamping me one, I don't know. How I got them to fucking stand there, I don't know. But yeah, eventually they did find their hands locked together. But the irony of it is, as time's gone on, I've discovered that I could have achieved that same result in about 30 seconds, which is the whole point of what we'll be doing this afternoon. But that is what people believe and expect it to be, stereotypically, generally. And yeah, we're told in life not to generalise, not to pigeonhole, not to stereotype. That's all well and good if you're going out on the pull and trying to empty your fucking sack or get your leg over. Yeah, be nice to people so you look attractive to them. But you know, when it comes to therapy, you will make it a lot easier for yourself if you pigeonhole and stereotype. Yes, you will individualise that to the person, especially because of the answers to the questions we spoke of earlier, and we'll recap on at some point. So it is personal to them, their name, their personal experience, the time in their life when it did happen to them. So it's not just a textbook script. But we don't need to know that Uncle Charlie fucked him up the arse over a birthday cake. We don't need to know that. Let's just assume that 9 times out of 10 that's what's happened, if you so desire. Or let's assume 9 times out of 10 it's a self-confidence. Whatever you decide it is in your head, that's what it was. You look at any therapeutic approach where they argue on things, all it comes down to is what was the intent of the bloody therapist who set out to prove that his new approach worked. And that's the key. They set out to prove their new approach worked. So logically they will find a way of proving that it worked. And if you've got the intent to make something work, you're 90% of the way there. Right, speed inductions. Well, if you saw that before, I'd say that's quite a bit quicker than most conventional therapeutic inductions. There is, unfortunately, a slight problem. Again, it's stereotyping, but if you generalise, the majority of the time you will be right. And the odd time when you're not, that personal information that you've got about the person will kind of carry you through, and that will make up for your shortfalls. So with inductions, slowly in generally means slowly out. In other words, if you use a long drawn-out induction, they tend to take longer to then come out of trance and look like they're fully with it. Quickly into trance, quickly out. Prime example, it looks fine now, doesn't it? And don't worry, we'll show you the footage after. I mean, he's not even aware that he had his underpants on his head, but a few short moments ago. He thinks I'm joking. Seriously, if you do something quickly, they tend to come out of it quickly. You do it slowly, they tend to come out of it slower. Now there is a way around that. Do a rapid induction, then deepen the trance. That's far better demonstrated than explained, so that's what we'll do after the brew break, which is coming up shortly. Why does hypnosis work? And most of these apply both to stage and therapy, whether it's a one-to-one therapy session or it's a group session. The irony of it is that a group session, a lot of people are scared of doing them. The irony of it is that group sessions are actually easier and you get better results easier because group psychology comes into play and the sheep effect, people want to follow the leader. So you've got peer group pressure and compliance. Or social conditioning, I suppose they would call it in psychology. People have a preconceived idea that if they're paying money to you as a therapist, you're going to help them. So that's in your favour. As a stage hypnotist, for those interested in that, the moment they volunteer, they've got a preconceived idea that you're capable of making them do those stupid things. Because otherwise you're a bit of a lunatic who's had your poster up for a few weeks, been selling tickets claiming to be able to do that. They tend to give themselves self-talk that you can do it. Group sessions, social compliance. Well, that person looks like they've got a bit more money than me, sort of thing. They've come along. I can't be stupid then. You know, people always look for some kind of approval, whether it's verbal or not. It can be non-verbal, looking around the room. And that conditions them to think, well, if it's going to work for them, it'll work for me. They don't sit there and think, well, if it doesn't work for them, it won't. They tend to, once they party with money, think on the positive side, which makes your job easier. IIC syndrome. This is the single most important thing that I say I discovered. I mean, it is a modelling of other phraseology from books I've read over the years, but to the best of my uncertain knowledge, the only book I have ever seen with this exact phrasing is my book, and or ones written since where people have modelled my work. Just so long as you've got good powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration, then you can be the star of this evening's show. Or just so long as you've got good powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration, then our work here today together to help you achieve X, Y, Z will be successful. Or, sales team, that's brilliant, just so long as each and every one of you in this room uses your intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, and just so long as you put into action those things that I'm telling you today, you'll find that your productivity goes through the roof. I suppose it's an element of anchoring, as they would call it in NLP. I prefer the technical term bullshit, but that's just personal preference. But you're putting the emphasis on them. If it doesn't work, it's all their fault, because then they've got to say to themselves, I'm thick, I've got no intelligence, imagination and concentration. But even if they only get a little bit of a change or an improvement, they will make it out to be far bigger than it may be in reality, because by blowing it up, it makes their ego feel good, because they're going, hey, I did have the good intelligence, imagination and concentration, that's why. And now and if it is through that bit of bullshit, self-bullshit, that will actually help them as much, if not more, than the original therapy did, because then it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why I say all we ever do is settle for processing people. And so much better that we set one off that sends them in the right direction. Right, the karaoke syndrome. This is relevant with stage hypnosis shows, group sessions, I suppose loosely on a one-to-one level as well, because I don't know, I mean, how good you all are at marketing. Those that didn't attend my last seminar, the others are fucking brilliant at it, I'm sure by now. But seriously, I'm sure you've had experiences where people find out what you do and they come up to you in public because the friend said, oh, that's the hypnotherapist, and you go, can you help me do this? Or, well, that's almost the karaoke syndrome, because they're wanting attention there and then. In a stage show, the people get up, they know they're going to make a tit of themselves, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't be a stage hypnosis show, really, would it? You know, people... But, A, they've got the excuse of being able to say, he made me do it, or she made me do it. But, just like the karaoke night, and I've been to loads of those karaoke nights, and that karaoke fella never fucking shows up. It's quite disappointing. But at karaoke nights, people get up singing, and they know the crap at singing. I do it. I cannot sing a note to save my life. Believe me. But we get up because, you know, it's the fun thing to do after a few beers. And it doesn't matter, people will laugh with me, not at me. Whatever. But that's what we say at a stage hypnosis show. You know, the audience will be laughing with you, not at you. No, they'll be fucking laughing at you. That's why they paid for a ticket, to come for a laugh. They've not come to morally support you, they've come for a laugh. You know, it's reframing or bullshitting them, as I like to call it. But people get up and sing badly at a karaoke night. They know they sing badly, but they enjoy it a bit and they come off and they go... And the best one is, go to karaoke. This is social psychology at work. And doing daft things like this, you'll learn far more about therapy and helping people than you ever will from a textbook or any seminar. Go and sit in at a karaoke night. Sit near the bar, and if you're near the toilet, so much the better. Especially, well, male or female, it works both ways, but if you sat there, you get to see everyone that's going to the loo, so you get to see everyone to weigh them up. But, sorry, I'm digressing now. On a serious note, what you should be observing to learn from is the reactions of people in the room. And at karaoke night, spy the person who waits until nobody is looking, or until somebody's singing something so well that they're transfixed on that person, or so badly that everyone's pissing themselves, but there's some major distraction going on naturally in the room, and they just shuffle up to the karaoke man and give the little slip and walk away, and hopefully nobody saw. And then notice later in the night the name gets called out. So, Jonathan Royal next. Could all eyes now drawn attention to themselves, because that's what they want, a bit of an ego press. What? You sure? They're fucking handed the slip in. If you observe them, most of the times the people that go on, who's put it in? Yeah, I'll have you, one of you, well, I'll do it anyway. If you've been watching them closely, which most people in the room don't, they've handed the slip in themselves. This is their he made me do it ploy. Go on then, Who was it? I know it was one of you. Well, go on, I'll do it anyway. Because they know the crap at singing, but it gives them the excuse. And seriously, go to a karaoke night and look, these things do genuinely happen. I mean, that shows you what I do for fucking me. I call it research purposes. Under another name, it's an excuse to get pissed and pick up women. But it is very useful to what we do on a serious note. Look, observe people. If you want a bit of fun, some of these will be already you'll be aware of, but if you want a bit of fun, and if you want to do this, you're either serious about what you're doing for a living and want to help people, or you need to get out more. One of the two. But if you'd like to get yourself a football, okay, go to a train station, any one, but preferably one that's frequented by people and trains, helps. It's a social psychology experiment and observation. Go in the waiting room, you need a friend with you. If you've not got a friend, again, you don't get out enough. But take somebody with you. Sit there, everyone's reading the newspapers or whatever. Start throwing the bowl towards each other, knocking it on the window. And then you've got a third friend who's in the room. You'll stand up and go, oh, can I join in? And suddenly you'll find that other people in the room will want to join in. Not everyone, because there'll be some boring part in there, but you know, we're going general stereotypically. Then go, if you want, to the same train station on the same day of the week at roughly the same time. Might even have the same people in if they're on the commuter route. Only this time, you and your friend are going to start playing with this thing, and your stooge is going to stand up and say, excuse me, this isn't a basketball court. It's a bloody waiting room. And you notice then how people will start backing that person up. It's so easy to make the crowd angry, happy, agreeable, disagreeable. It's so easy to do. And when you realise that which is obvious, and use, and it is 99% of the time the obvious things, you will get far better results with your clients, far more rapidly. The benefit to you, well, it's whatever your motivation is. You'll get a better reputation, so you make more money, or you'll just feel good inside, whatever turns you on. Point is, it will be better. The sheep effect. Well, we covered that there just a little bit, but the sheep effect, another example is go to a cafe in a shopping centre where it's no smoking. And light up a cigarette and make sure you've got your stooge around before security come and arrest you and give you the on-the-spot fine. So, and have your stooge go, oh, can I just get a light off you? And you'll see that quite a few people then will generally go, you know, actually, we're supposed to smoke in here, but I won't mind one myself. It's a bit of a bugger, isn't it? We've stopped the smoking, and they're all dead sympathetic. Another day you go in and you light up and your stooge go, excuse me, how dare you smoke in here? Are you stupid or something? And everyone will start going, look, stop there. Because people follow the leader. The person who acts like the leader gets followed. That's why, you know, so many so-called religions, the followers end up killing themselves because the guy running it says to. At least it was, you know, he brought them out of the misery, albeit in a strange way, you know. He doesn't get them to go back every Sunday for a 3-hour-long mass. So, sorry to any Catholics who are in the testicles, spectacles, wallet and watch. So yeah, the sheep effect comes into play, even on a one-to-one level. That comes into play because of what you're transmitting. If you sat there going, and relax, and the person's going to get a bit edgy and think, if you sat there, you know, professional, dressed up, whatever, they'll come and think, you know, all the diplomas on the wall, you printed out off your own computer because they're not worth a wank anywhere. And they'll go, and all these nice psychology books on the shelf behind you that you bought at Partners, county bookstores, get a pile of them for like a tenner. It looks like you've read them all, you haven't, they're fucking boring. It looks good on the walls, so you've got all that perception around you, and you think, hey, sheep effect comes into play, must be good. Especially if, you know, you've got the title doctor or reverend. Reverends, free of charge, you just go to www.ulc.org. Which stands for Universal Life Church, and you become an ordained reverend. Instantly online, print your diploma out, and then a few weeks later, through the post, they will send you the one for framing, and you legally then can conduct all religious ceremonies except for circumcisions, what a bummer, in all states of America and many states of Canada. You can also do it in other countries in the world, but you've got to get written permission from the authorities first. But it looks good. You do get treated differently. And doctor law has a medical connotation, psychologically speaking. Could people think of the medical doctor? No, I've got a PhD in fucking psychology. Well, PhD in bullshit, anyway. But I bought it. Ooh, there you go. And I've got a Bachelor of Science in Marketing Communications as well. I got them both for less than $1,500. They're both apostilled, which means they've gone to the Commonwealth place in London. They've been rubber stamped, legalised. They're legal in all 42 countries of the Hague Convention, which is more than fucking Paul McKenna's was when the Daily Mail investigated it. Tight-fisted cunt. All he needed to do was spend a couple of £100 more. Allegedly, dear Paul, I'm only joking, you understand. It's quite litigious, so I have to say that for the camera. I did that bit now. But you get it apostilled, and then it is legal, and it's backable-upable. It does what it says on the can. And then you can legally call yourself doctor in advertising. And, I mean, there is a cheaper way, as Shay may have told one or two of you already, and that's to go to Universal Life Church and become a Doctor of Divinity or Metaphysics, and it'll cost you about $60. And it is legal then to call yourself a doctor of, you know, Dr. Jonathan Royal or Dr. Sue Barker. It is legal for your advertising. It's just that if you end up becoming as well known as Mr. McKenna or myself, or you end up in the media a lot, and the press decide to have a hatchet job on you, and they investigate, this won't have been legal in all states. The Hague Convention, it's legal for your advertising, but then you'll end up with an article like Jack Tinker did in the Daily Mail on Mr. McKenna's, unfortunately, not apostilled at the time degree. But that is a cheaper way of doing it. Because it is a damn good marketing ploy, and it's perception. Perception and image. Because people assume doctor means medical. And if we're doing therapy, we're doing something they perceive as being medical anyway, and we've also got the name doctor, think about it, and don't call yourself a hypnotherapist, because it's hypno, the rapist, when you break it down. That's exactly what it spells. Psychotherapists are even worse. Psycho, the rapist. It is, write it down, look at it, fucking is. P-S-Y-C-H-O, psycho, the rapist. It's fucking way. I prefer the term complete mind therapy as a marketing and psychological bullshit ploy, because complete implies nothing is missing. Mind therapy still gives them the connotation of the mindful, which ties in with the tricks we'll use on them to make them feel this magical ritual, so they come to believe that they felt something weird, which therefore means we've done something special to them, which therefore means they've got their value for money, which therefore means they will get their cure. Thank you. Try saying that this time more. I use complete mind therapy, but I actually, phraseology I use, says me without a business card to hand, but it's International Celebrity Mind Therapist and Hypnotic Consultant, Dr. Jonathan Royal. The doctor has got a medical connotation. The word consultant has got a medical connotation. The mind therapist, yeah, it does say the rapist on my card, but at least nobody can accuse me of lying afterwards. That's just a joke for the camera. You know, it's all framed so that they see you as a medical doctor, but you're not legally allowed to claim you're a medical doctor unless you're a medical doctor. But legally being able to say you're a doctor and using the term consultant and therapist, all words that you're allowed to use, on the same advertising literature, does tend to get perceived by most people that you've got some kind of medical background, which, as you can imagine, unless they've got a phobia of doctors, of course, does tend to put them in a better state of mind and body to do what you want them to do. And that's a good cue for you to do what I want you to do, which is to go and have a wee-wee or whatever, and have a brew at the back of the room or a cigarette in there. But more importantly, before you start moving, there's two things I need to tell you. Because we have lunch at 1:30, we'll be back in here at 12:30, no later, for the hour before lunch. But so that lunches can be ready on time, there are tick sheets at the back of the room. If people want lunch, you tick what you want, put your name on it, and then that way we can hand them in after this break so that the food is ready on time, and then you can settle up with bar staff later and all that. That's important point one. An important point, that's for dinner time, which is, that's for now. But then this evening, we finish about 6, but then people tend to have a quick wash, do whatever, and then we meet in the bar. I've got to book taxis for 7:45, depending on how many people want to come. And I've got to ring up and book the tables, room, whatever, at the restaurant for 8 o'clock. Because we've got to be there, it's Saturday night, I'm pulling strings, because we're in competition with them next door. I've got to ring up earlier, because he's given me first refusal. So if you want to go this evening, it's an Indian restaurant, but they do English food as well. For those that haven't been there before, ask the people who have been here before. We get looked after really well, reasonable price and all that. I need to know how many of you are coming, who's definitely going to be in the bar at 7:45, so we can get the right number of taxis and what have you. On that note, it is brew break. We're starting 12:30 prompt. Enjoy your break. I'll see you shortly.
If you can have the